What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing today? I hope everybody's having a good one. Man, I just wanted to add a little bit to the previous video about perseverance, right? What I wanted to add to that is kind of like always putting your best foot forward. You know what I mean? Doing things 100%. It doesn't matter what you're doing or who you're doing it for, right? It's kind of like it's what you do when nobody's watching, kind of thing. I've always kind of thought that it's kind of more for yourself than it is for others, right? And in the long run, it's better for others as well, right? Like say you do things half-assed, right? You kind of do it 50-60%, right? And you kind of always do that. You kind of create the habit of always doing a half-assed job, right? You kind of develop the character of the person that does a half-assed job, and of course that'll translate in other areas of your life, right? It'll even affect the shit that you really do want to be good at, right? So it's always better to give it your best. Doesn't matter what you're doing, to give it your best, right? Like in this movie that I saw yesterday, the Serendipity, one of the main character's friends, he writes obituaries, and he said that the Greeks didn't write obituaries, that they just kind of thought after somebody dies that they just ask one question: did he live with passion, right? And that's one of those things, man, that's I think you have to do everything passionately, right? I think it was Leonardo da Vinci, one of those really good painters, that said, I love doing everything, and kind of like since I love doing everything, kind of everything that I do comes out right, you know what I mean? That's kind of like passion. When you do things passionately, they're going to be a whole lot better than when you don't do them with passion, you know what I mean? And I'm going to quote this dude, C.T. Fletcher, who was big like in the bodybuilding community, you know what I mean? And he would call it he would say, passionate is just people call passionate people or passionate individuals obsessed, right? Like, you're obsessed with doing this, you're obsessed with doing that. And he says obsessed is just the word lazy motherfuckers use to describe passion, right? And this other dude too, man, one time I saw this interview of a really, really highly successful individual, and he was talking about he used to work at a body shop since he was a teenager, right? And that he always just did a really good job, you know what I mean? He always did a really good job, even though he didn't like doing it. Like, everybody thought that he loved what he was doing, but in reality he says he didn't really like it. He just always kind of always learned that giving it your best, you know what I mean? So he would do a really good job, and he said that one day when he was kind of trying to do other things, right? Get into real estate. Uh, like his first real estate deal, I think he made 1 million. Um, and he said that he worked really hard and he gave it his all, right? Even though he didn't like what he was doing. But one gentleman kind of saw that, and it was a frequent customer, right? And one of the times when he was kind of didn't know how he was gonna be able to invest in the apartment complex or whatever he was purchasing, that man, the man that kind of admired his work or thought that he did a really good job, is the one that helped him, right? Uh, like with that investment, and that's how he was able to do his first deal, and from then, kind of the rest is history, right? But he said, had he not been putting his best foot forward, had he not been doing things with passion, right, that would have never happened, right? Like he says, like he thinks God has like a list, right, of like when, even though we don't feel like it, or even when we're down and life has us kind of in those tough stages, right? And you still kind of keep doing good, or you still kind of fucking remain strong with your head high, you know what I mean? That those kind of moments are the ones that make a difference, right? Um, and like at the end of the day, everybody, this is like I'm generalizing, but it's kind of always the case, right? Always the case. It's rarely when it is not, that if you want to be successful at something, um, it's just keep doing it, right? It's just persistence. It's just persistence, right? And one day you're bound to break down the wall, you know what I mean? One day you're bound to do it. Um, Persistence and hard work, right? Persistence and hard work. Like there's no like magic pill, or you know what I mean? It's just hard work, persistence and hard work. Um, so we want to turn ourselves to this hard-working person that is working in the direction of where we want to go, right? Um, let's see what else. Um, this other dude too, man. This other dude too. I think I was painting these buildings, right? And one of the owners of one of the businesses there, he just stopped by and he just started talking to me, and I didn't know why he was talking to me. He just started telling me things, and he was there for like a few hours. But he was telling me like kind of like his story, and it was the same thing. It was the same thing. He was kind of trying to kind of get a message across to me of not working hard but working smart. Um, but he was sharing with me his experience, right? That all his first jobs and his previous jobs, he would do such a good job, like working even at restaurants, things like that. That's what kind of elevated him or opened doors to other opportunities, right? Like he said, he worked at this restaurant, and he always liked leaving everything clean, like his area, his station. And one time he was scrubbing some part of the sink that looked really ugly. Like he was really scrubbing it, and the manager came and she was like, "You know that you're off the clock, right?" And he said, "Yeah." And she said, "So what are you doing?" And he said, "Well, I'm cleaning this. I don't like how it looks." And she said, "But you're doing it for free." And he was like, "Yeah, but this is my work area. This is my workstation, right?" And a lot of little things like that. And he said that those kinds of details of him working harder and even giving a little bit more, um, kind of opened doors in ways that he was able to do what what he has done. You know what I mean? And he's had several businesses. He has several businesses to this day. Another thing too, and this is something that my mentor kind of told me. He said, "Look," when I opened my businesses, my first business, he said, I always tried to do a little bit more. I always try to have the customer leave with a little bit more than what he paid for, right? Um, and he said that was one thing that kind of, you know what I mean? It's one of those things that helps on the path to success, you know what I mean? Giving a little bit more, giving that extra. And he always kind of told me this too. And like 2 weeks ago, man, I called him and I was like, man, I did this, and that, right? Like, moved some things around, did some changes. And he said, always, when you go to the store, he said, try to make it a little bit better. Every single day, try to make it a little bit better. You know what I mean? And that's kind of like that constant improvement, right? Like the constant, never-ending improvement. And then he said, and everywhere you go, he said, try to leave a little bit better. Kind of like, first he applied it to business, to give the customers more than what they, you know what I mean, more than what they paid for, more than what, you know what I mean. And then he kind of applied it to making every day a little bit better and making ourselves a little bit better every single day. You know what I mean? And that reminds me of something that I read in a book by Tony Robbins. He was talking about the Japanese, right, and how they're really good in a lot of things they do, right? Like, you could see it in their cars, right? Toyota. Like, I've never really been into Toyota, but I've driven a few Toyotas, and I've seen how good of a car they make, right? And like, one thing he says on the book is that they weren't good, that back in the 50s or I don't know what years, they were not good, and they hired this American man to teach them or to help them lift up their businesses, right? And what this dude taught him was constant and never-ending improvement. You know what I mean? Constant and never-ending improvement. That means every single day, making something better. Every single day making something better. And you could look back and see how successful all their businesses are, right? I mean, they make amazing automobiles. They're really, really advanced in technology. So you could see how that constant and never-ending improvement, it goes long ways, right? And that goes in our lives, you know what I mean? Constantly making ourselves a little bit better. Like me for example, I think the exercise is one thing, reading is another thing, meditating is another thing. That helped me on that path, you know what I mean? That helped me on that path forward, right? Moving forward. So I just wanted to share that real quick, man. I hope that helps. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I hope you have a good one.